You close your eyes and drift inward, not into dreams, but into the quiet rhythm of your own existence. The surface world, with its noise, its light, its endless movement, begins to fade. Beneath it lies another world, one that does not shout but hums, softly, endlessly. Within you, a universe is alive. Trillions of cells, more numerous than stars in your galaxy of being, are at work in perfect silence. Each one is a small room, sealed in its own membrane, pulsing with life. And in the center of every cell, folded so precisely it could fit into the heart of a dust mote, lies something sacred, the genetic code. You imagine drifting closer, smaller and smaller still, until scale becomes meaningless. Walls fade, molecules become mountains. The nucleus rises before you like a glowing orb, quiet but powerful. Inside it, the strands of DNA rest, not inert, but breathing in slow molecular time. They look like spirals of silver light, winding into themselves. Two ribbons, bound together by invisible hands, carrying patterns older than memory. They are the original text of you. Every strand within every cell holds the same story, not written in ink, but in bases: adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. 4 letters, repeating, recombining, like musical notes, creating endless symphonies. You do not hear them with your ears. You feel them faintly, like a vibration in your chest, the molecular whisper of identity. Each cell hums the same song, but each sings it differently, depending on its place in the body's orchestra. One becomes skin, another muscle, another neuron reaching through the silent space of the brain. And yet, every one of them begins with the same quiet instruction, the same gentle origin. The DNA, the code inside you, is not new. It has survived billions of years, passed down through an unbroken chain of life. From cell to cell, organism to organism, ancestor to child. It has seen oceans form, mountains rise, and stars collapse. Every breath you take is an echo of that endurance, a continuation of that molecular story. You can almost imagine your DNA as a cosmic library. Every book is a gene, every page a sequence of bases, every word a message that says, build, grow, repair, adapt, survive. These instructions do not think, do not choose, yet they have shaped everything you are, everything alive within each cell. Proteins read those words, translating chemistry into form. The process happens quietly, invisibly, yet its result is extraordinary. Your heartbeat, your thoughts, your sense of warmth, all begin with the unfolding of that code. When you were a single cell, barely visible, that code already knew how to make you. It guided every division, every specialization, every step of your becoming. It did not rush. It simply followed the quiet rhythm of replication and growth, the rhythm that life has always followed. There is something almost meditative about the thought that deep within you, without your awareness, your cells carry on an ancient practice of reading, copying, maintaining, as though they too breathe in stillness. You imagine watching one of those cells at work. Inside it, enzymes move like gentle caretakers. One unwinds the double helix, another reads the sequence, another assembles new strands. Each step is performed with a precision that defies chaos, as if the molecules themselves remember how to stay true. But even in their perfection, there is humility. Life is not carved in stone. It is written in the soft clay of chemistry, open to small mistakes, subtle shifts. And sometimes those shifts will shape what comes next, a mutation, a variation, a new possibility. Yet for now, the code remains steady. You feel the deep quiet of that stability. It is the stillness that allows life to grow, to organize, to remember. Your DNA does not rush, does not seek applause. It has no ambition, and yet it holds everything. You picture it as a thread of light stretching across time. At one end, the first living cells, small, fragile, unassuming, floating in the ancient sea. At the other, you, a being of thought, reflection, curiosity. Between those ends lies every ancestor who ever lived, their lives written, revised, and carried within the double helix. It is a lineage not of names or stories, but of molecules. Even now, in this moment of calm, your cells continue their quiet labor. They copy, repair, and preserve, following the same steps life has followed since the dawn of time. You might think of it as your body's meditation. While you sleep, your cells are awake, not restless, but patient. They keep you alive through harmony, through rhythm, through repetition. They do not demand your attention. They only ask for stillness, for a quiet space where the whispers of chemistry can continue unbroken. You begin to sense it, that you are not separate from this molecular dance. The code does not live beneath your awareness. It is your awareness, translated over millennia into the capacity to wonder, to observe, to feel. Your curiosity, your capacity for awe, these two are echoes of DNA's persistence, the mind's way of reading the body's ancient song. And so, when you feel small, you can remember you are built from something vast. Each cell inside you carries not just matter, but meaning, the quiet signature of all life that came before you. The same patterns that guide your body guide the coral that builds its reef, the tree that bends toward the light, the bird that migrates by instinct. You share a vocabulary with the entire living world. In that way, DNA is not a language of ownership, but of belonging. It ties you to every creature that has ever existed, and to every creature yet to come. The same letters that write you also write the whale's song, the butterfly's wings, the moss clinging to stone. The differences are only in the arrangement, the rhythm, the punctuation, but the alphabet is shared. Perhaps that is why silence feels so familiar. When you fall quiet, you return to the tempo of your cells, to the slow pulse of the code. You become aware, in some soft and wordless way, that this body, this consciousness, is only the current expression of a story that has never stopped unfolding. You are a continuation, not a beginning. You are the living breath of everything that ever found a way to survive. And somewhere deep within you, every one of those ancient victories still hums. The DNA in your cells is a quiet testament that even amid chaos, there can be order. Amid randomness, there can be beauty. Amid impermanence, there can be memory. You imagine this blueprint glowing gently, like starlight beneath your skin. It does not need to be understood all at once. It only asks to be felt as rhythm, as trust, as presence. You are made of a pattern that has never stopped whispering, and if you listen closely enough, in the soft darkness of night, you can almost hear it, a song without sound, a language without words, a story that continues quietly within every breath you take. Your DNA, the quiet blueprint of every cell, has waited for you to listen. And now you do. In this stillness, the molecules keep writing. They speak not of destiny, but of continuity, a living thread, connecting you to all that was, all that is, all that will be. You rest in that knowing, and as you drift deeper, one question begins to form, softly, like a ripple through still water. If the blueprint is written in letters, what is the language that life speaks in return? This thought leads you gently toward the next chapter, the language of life. You rest in the quiet glow of your inner universe, trillions of cells breathing in their own rhythm. Deep within them, the DNA waits. It does not act on its own. It is a library, a keeper of blueprints. But blueprints cannot build by themselves. They must be read, translated, carried into motion. And so within every cell, a new kind of stillness begins to stir, a purposeful stillness, like the pause before a musician plays the first note. From the double helix, a single strand, opening itself to be red dot, you are watching the first whisper become a word. Tiny molecular hands, enzymes, move along the DNA, opening it just enough to reveal its meaning. One of them, called RNA polymerase, glides gently along the strand, reading the sequence of bases A, T, C, and G, and building a mirror of it from free-floating letters in the cell's fluid C. This mirror is made of RNA ribonucleic acid, a close cousin of DNA, a messenger of its wisdom. If DNA is the quiet script written deep inside you, then RNA is the voice that carries those words outward. Into the busy world of the cell, the DNA remains safe within its nucleus, like an ancient manuscript kept in the vault of a library. The RNA leaves that vault carrying a copy, not the whole story, just one line, one paragraph, one instruction at a time. This act is called transcription, though in truth it feels more like breathing. The cell inhales from the DNA's quiet and exhales through the creation of RNA. And with that exhale, the stillness begins to move. Each RNA strand floats into the wider cell, carrying its message to the ribosome, a structure so ancient that it predates complex life itself. The ribosome is a translator, a craftsman, and a musician all at once. It reads the RNA, word by word, base by base, and from it constructs something tangible, a protein dot in this moment. Chemistry becomes language, and language becomes form. Every protein that builds your muscles, shapes your thoughts, carries your oxygen, or responds to light, all of them are born from this quiet dialogue between DNA, RNA, and the ribosome. It is not a loud process. It does not announce itself. Instead, it unfolds like a breath, precise, rhythmic, sacred. The ribosome listens to the RNA's message in groups of 3 bases, called codon. Each codon is like a small syllable, and each syllable calls forth a specific amino acid, one of 20 small building blocks that can be arranged into nearly infinite forms. You might think of it as the alphabet of life. 4 letters A, U, C, and G form 64 possible codons, which combine to make every protein in existence. The language is simple, but its vocabulary is limitless. You imagine watching this unfold, the ribosome gently gliding along the RNA, like a reader tracing words with a fingertip. As it reads, small amino acids arrive one by one, joining in a line that folds and curls, forming intricate shapes, loops, spirals, sheets, knots. This is translation, the second act in life's molecular symphony. Each protein that emerges is a sentence written in matter, a tangible expression of the cell's intent. And yet, there is no mind here, no will, no consciousness, only chemistry, shaped by time into meaning. Still, when you look closer, it feels more like poetry than machinery. Imagine all of this happening inside every cell of your body, in perfect silence. Millions of RNA strands being transcribed each moment. Millions of proteins being folded into form. You are an ocean of invisible words, not spoken, but enacted. Your body is reading itself over and over with each passing second. It never stops. Even as you rest, your cells keep translating, keep building, keep maintaining the architecture of life. It's astonishing, isn't it, that such complexity unfolds with such peace. There is no rush in these molecular conversations. No argument, no confusion, only quiet cooperation. Harmony through precision. If you listen closely enough, you can almost hear it, the steady rhythm of transcription and translation, the gentle exchange of information. Like soft waves folding and unfolding against a shore, it is as if every cell in your body were reciting a prayer. A single sacred text spoken in 1,000 different dialects, yet all carrying the same meaning. To live. RNA, in its delicate simplicity, is a bridge between the eternal and the immediate. It connects the still archive of DNA to the moving world of proteins, from possibility to presence. Without it, the blueprint would remain unread, and life would be a silent potential, never spoken. And in that bridge lies something profound, a reflection of how all communication works, from the smallest molecule to the largest mind. Something must carry the message, interpret it, embody it, just as the RNA carries the code into action. So too do your thoughts carry meaning from silence into sound, from idea into word. You too are always translating from the invisible to the visible, from the quiet to the expressed. Perhaps that is why the structure of this process feels so familiar. You are made of language. You are born from communication, molecule speaking to molecule, cell to cell, system to system. Even when you are silent, life continues its endless conversation within you. You may feel your chest rise and fall, your pulse slow and rhythmic. That rhythm, too, is born of these molecules. Proteins built from the code keep your heart's muscles contracting, your neurons firing, your breath steady. All because, deep within, RNA continues its patient journey from word to word. There is beauty in that simplicity. No part of the process needs to understand the whole. Each plays its part perfectly. The DNA writes, the RNA reads, the ribosome builds, and together they create a symphony that sustains life. You might think of it as an endless lullaby, one that began long before you were born, and will continue long after you are gone. Every living thing on earth listens to that same melody, sung in the same four-letter language. The code has not changed much in billions of years. It has only been rearranged, rephrased, retold. A bacterium, a tree, a whale, and you all share the same alphabet, the same grammar of life. It is as if the universe chose one way to say exist, and everything that followed learned to sing it in its own voice. The RNA that flows through your cells tonight is not unique to you alone. It carries echoes of every ancestor, every organism that ever lived. When you breathe, you continue their story, written in bass pairs, translated into motion. Life, it seems, is not only made of molecules, but of meaning. The pattern is simple, but the expression infinite. As you lie here, breathing slowly, you might imagine each cell within you glowing softly, each ribosome quietly building, each strand of RNA carrying its message like a candle flame through the dark. You are not merely made of matter, you are made of sentences, structure, and rhythm. The blueprint you met in the last chapter is now alive, moving, singing. The whisper has become a language. The stillness has learned to speak, and this language is the same one that binds all living things. A universal script written in chemistry, yet spoken in existence. As your body continues its internal dialogue, you realize something quietly profound, that communication is the foundation of life, not just in words, but in motion, in pattern, in harmony. Every thought you have, every breath you take, every moment of stillness, all of it is part of this living language, this molecular conversation that never ends. You are both the listener and the expression, the word and the meaning, the code and the voice. And as you drift deeper into calm, the boundaries between you and the process blur. It is no longer your DNA, your RNA. It is simply life speaking through you. The messages continue. The translation persists, and proteins begin to take shape, each one folding delicately, finding its purpose in form. The conversation is not ending. It is only changing its tone. And so, you listen to the silence, not the silence of absence, but the silence of creation, of chemistry transforming into being. The RNA's message fades softly into structure, into the living architecture of you. And in that moment of surrender, a new question begins to form. If life speaks through molecules, then what do the proteins, these living shapes of the message, have to say in return? You drift deeper inward, past the whispering RNA, past the script of the code, into the realm where words become movement. Here, in the quiet depths of your cells, the messages of life, the ribosomes you met before, still hum gently, reading their strands of RNA, stitching together long chains of amino acids, one by one. Each link in that chain is a note in a larger melody, and when the chain is complete, the music changes. The strand begins to twist. It bends, loops, folds over itself in graceful, deliberate motions, as though it remembers a dance older than time. This is a protein being born. At first, it is only a linear thread, a line of molecules held together by delicate bonds. But within seconds, it begins to find its form. The sequence itself contains instructions, not words this time, but forces, attractions, repulsions, affinities. One amino acid leans toward another. Another turns away, and slowly the whole structure collapses inward like a blooming flower folding into itself. You can almost see it, shimmering in the dim light of the cytoplasm, rippling with motion. Every curve and twist matters. Every angle defines its purpose. Some proteins fold into sheets, others into spirals, others into complex knots that seem impossible to untangle. And yet each finds its correct form, because life has spent billions of years learning how to fold meaning from motion. This process is called protein folding, though it feels more like choreography than construction. There is elegance in how the molecules know where to go, how to meet, how to rest. It is not a random collapse, but a guided journey, shaped by energy and balance. You imagine the interior of a single cell, a space not of emptiness, but of motion. Everywhere, proteins are forming, folding, moving, carrying, binding. It is a world more crowded than any city, yet nothing collides. Molecules weave past one another in soft coordination, each aware of its place in the quiet harmony of function. Some proteins become enzymes, catalysts of change. They lower barriers, make reactions easier, help molecules find each other in the dance of chemistry. Others become transporters, carrying nutrients or ions through membranes, like ferrymen crossing invisible rivers. Some become structural, weaving fibers that give cells their shape, their strength, their ability to connect. And a few small, coiled, vibrating become messengers, receptors, or switches that allow one cell to speak to another. All of it happens in silence. No conductor waves a baton, no voice commands them. The rhythm emerges naturally from the laws of physics written into their form. You can think of it as life's quiet ballet, millions of dancers, each rehearsed by evolution, moving with grace that no mind could choreograph. It is astonishing to realize that your thoughts, your heartbeat, your breath, all of it depends on these dancers. Proteins are not just structures. They are actions. They open and close channels. They carry energy. They transmit signals. They are what allow life to do in one corner of the cellular world. A protein called hemoglobin waits within a red blood cell, ready to carry oxygen. Its structure, perfectly folded, allows it to catch and release each molecule at just the right moment. Without that precise fold, without that delicate geometry, you could not breathe. Nearby, in the neurons of your brain, other proteins open and close like gates, letting signals pass as tiny electrical whispers. Each thought, each flicker of memory depends on their motion. The same dance that shapes your muscles shapes your mind. You begin to sense a quiet pattern here, that all life, from the simplest cell to the most complex thought, depends on the folding of matter into form. The code writes, the message moves, the structure acts. It is a cycle of creation so seamless that it feels less like a process and more like a heartbeat. But this dance is not always perfect. Sometimes a protein misfolds, twisting into the wrong shape. When that happens, the harmony can falter. The cell has watchers, small, careful molecules called chaperones that help refold or remove these mistakes, keeping the rhythm smooth. They act like caretakers in a monastery, ensuring that every chant, every motion, remains pure and steady. And if the error cannot be undone, the cell lets go, allowing the misfolded proteins to be broken down, their pieces reused. Even here, there is no waste, no chaos, only transformation. What fails becomes material for what comes next. There is a lesson hidden in that, a softness in how life handles imperfection. The cell does not punish the mistakes, it recycles them. It learns from them. It turns mistake into possibility. Perhaps you can feel that truth in yourself as well. how your own missteps, your own errors, are not ends, but beginnings of change. In this microscopic world, even flaws are part of the flow. As you drift deeper into stillness, you begin to picture the vast ocean of proteins moving within you. Some travel along molecular tracks, like trains carrying cargo across the cytoskeleton, the framework that gives the cell its structure. Others drift freely, colliding gently, forming bonds, breaking them, forming new ones. Each movement is quiet, measured, essential. The entire interior of your cell feels alive, not chaotic, but vibrantly peaceful. Even within constant motion, there is calm. Even in ceaseless work, there is restfulness. The proteins dance not in haste, but in purpose. You can sense the beauty of this order, how countless small motions create something as large as consciousness. Your heartbeat, your breath, your dreams, all of it is choreography born from these unseen dancers. You might imagine yourself shrinking smaller still until you can stand among them. The folded proteins tower above you like intricate sculptures, each one unique, shimmering with color and charge. Some twist like ribbons, others resemble shells. You can feel the energy radiating from them, not heat, but vitality, the warmth of purpose. And when you listen closely, you realize they are not moving randomly at all. Their motion has rhythm, pulses, waves, gentle oscillations. The cell is alive not because of chaos, but because of coherence. It is a quiet orchestra, playing endlessly beneath your awareness. You begin to understand that this dance of proteins is life, not a metaphor for it, but its very essence. It is the balance of creation and decay, of motion and pause, of silence and activity. It is the unity of structure and function, of meaning and motion. In every fold of every protein lies a story, the memory of evolution, the echo of survival, the persistence of pattern. What began as chemical chance has become purposeful design, not imposed from above, but arising naturally, beautifully. Inevitably, you rest in that thought that within you, order emerges from motion, harmony from complexity, life from vibration. There is peace in knowing that such perfection requires no control, no awareness, only the flow of time, the pull of energy, the quiet intelligence of matter. The dance continues, unseen but unending. It is not loud, yet it sustains everything. It does not seek to be noticed, yet you are its result. And as you drift toward sleep, you feel as though your own breath matches the rhythm of that molecular choreography. Inhale creation, exhale release. In every cycle, the proteins move, somewhere within you. Even now, a new chain is forming, folding, and finding its place. It does not hurry, it does not fear, it simply becomes, and in that simplicity there is peace, the kind of peace that holds the whole living world together. You are the stage and the dancer, the movement and the meaning. The same quiet code that wrote the stars now writes your breath. The same physics that shapes galaxies also shapes your cells. The proteins continue to fold, to sway, to dance, a performance without audience, a rhythm without end. And as you rest, you begin to wonder softly, if every protein finds its form through movement, then how does life, as a whole, find its balance in the dance of change? You awaken within the quiet rhythm that holds all life together, a balance so delicate it feels invisible. Nothing in your body stands still, yet everything remains in order. It is the paradox at the heart of existence, constant motion sustained by perfect symmetry. The proteins still dance, folding and unfolding. Molecules drift through fluid, energy pulses in waves, yet somehow the chaos never spills over. Each process, each flicker of chemical exchange, is countered by another, like tides that rise and fall without fail. This is homeostasis, the deep intelligence of balance. Every cell, every organ, every heartbeat contributes to it, keeping you steady in a world that constantly shifts. You do not command it. It happens beneath awareness, guided by feedback loops older than thought. Temperature, sugar levels, oxygen, pressure, all are monitored in silence. Sensors deep within your brain and body measure the smallest changes, sending signals through nerves and hormones. A whisper goes out, adjust the breath, open the vessels, release the heat, and in moments, equilibrium returns. You can feel it if you listen closely. Your breath deepens when carbon dioxide rises. Your pulse quickens when energy is needed. Your body cools itself when warmth gathers. You are not separate from nature's balance. You are its continuation. Life does not fight disorder. It learns to move with it. Inside you, countless molecules shift between order and chaos, binding, breaking, reforming, yet the overall rhythm remains steady. It is like a flame, wild in motion, yet unchanging in shape. Balance, you realize, is not stillness. It is motion perfectly tuned. It is the ability to flow without falling, to adapt without dissolving. Cells maintain this balance through constant communication. Hormones drift through your bloodstream, carrying messages across great biological distances. The adrenal glands whisper of urgency, the pancreas murmurs of nourishment, the thyroid hums about energy. These messengers do not shout, they adjust. They keep the system in quiet conversation with itself. You imagine the hypothalamus, a small structure deep in your brain, watching over this intricate orchestra. It listens to your internal landscape the way an astronomer listens to the stars, searching for the slightest flicker of change. When balance wavers, it sends word through invisible channels, guiding the body back to harmony. Even your emotions belong to this system. A thought of danger triggers adrenaline. A moment of calm releases serotonin. The physical and emotional dance together, inseparable partners in the choreography of life. There is no division between body and mind here, only feedback and response, pulse and breath, wave and reflection. Each thought has chemistry. Each molecule has emotion. They mirror one another like water and sky. You begin to sense how deeply connected everything is. Your cells, your organs, your brain, your environment, all are parts of one dynamic balance. When you step into sunlight, your skin speaks to your brain, telling it of warmth. When you breathe cool air, your lungs tell your vessels to constrict slightly, preserving heat. When you sleep, hormones shift quietly, restoring rhythm to your body's clock. This invisible harmony is the foundation of health and of peace. When the body loses its rhythm, fatigue follows. When the mind resists change, restlessness grows. To be alive is to oscillate gently, to sway without breaking. Even at the level of a single cell, this principle holds. Ion channels open and close, keeping electrical balance across membranes. nutrients enter, waste leaves, water flows. Yet every exchange is measured, every motion paired with its counter. It is as if the cell remembers an ancient rule: nothing too much, nothing too little. You sense the elegance in that phrase, the wisdom of moderation written into biology. It is the same balance that keeps stars from collapsing, rivers from flooding, hearts from racing. The universe itself thrives on equilibrium. You imagine space, vast and serene, holding galaxies in orbit. Each star's gravity pulls, each planet responds. And through that tension arises motion, the same harmony that exists within your own veins. The microcosm mirrors the macrocosm. Your balance is the universe's balance, refracted into living form when stress disturbs this rhythm. When the body is pulled too far in one direction, the system gently resists. It is not punishment. It is a reminder. The body whispers, return, breathe, slow down. Even pain is part of the balancing act, a message that something leans too far. You realize then that balance is not perfection. It is compassion. It allows room for error, for healing, for restoration. Every night when you sleep, the balance deepens. Your cells repair. Your hormones recalibrate. The noise of day quiets and the ancient rhythm resumes. Sleep itself is an act of homeostasis. The brain washes itself clean through slow waves of cerebrospinal fluid. Energy is stored, memories sorted, immune cells reset. It is balance in its purest form, the restoration of harmony after the music of wakefulness. You imagine the transition between waking and sleep as a shoreline, where the waves of thought fade into still water. Your brain slows its rhythm, lowering frequencies like dimming light. Body temperature falls slightly. Heart rate eases. It is the body's way of tuning itself back into equilibrium with the night. Every cycle of waking and rest, every inhale and exhale, every beat and pause, all are forms of balance, repeating endlessly. Even the universe breathes in its own way, expansion and contraction, entropy and order, birth and dissolution. You are made from the same rhythm that holds galaxies together. There is beauty in recognizing that nothing needs to be forced. The body knows what to do. The cells remember their balance. The heart listens to its own timing. You are a system designed not to fight, but to flow. This realization softens something deep within you. You no longer see balance as a rigid perfection, but as a living process, a conversation between chaos and calm. Sometimes the waves rise. Sometimes they fall. What matters is that you return. Perhaps that is what peace truly is, not an absence of movement, but the grace to move without losing yourself. Inside your chest, your heart beats with this same wisdom. Each contraction sends blood rushing outward. Each relaxation allows it to return. The push and pull are equal, and through their rhythm, life continues. Balance does not ask you to stay still. It asks you to listen, to breathe, to allow. It reminds you that life, in all its complexity, depends on gentle correction, on patience, on returning again and again to the center. And just as proteins fold and unfold, stars burn and fade, so too do you move between states of energy and rest. It is not failure to sway. It is nature's way of keeping you alive. The breath within you carries that truth. Inhale, expansion. Exhale, release. A perfect balance of opposites that makes existence possible. When you truly listen, you can feel that balance extend beyond your body. The earth rotates, the moon pulls, the tides, the stars drift in slow arcs, all tuned to invisible laws that keep the cosmos whole. You are part of that same equation, a tiny harmonic in a cosmic song of equilibrium. And as you drift closer to sleep, you feel yourself surrendering to it, the gentle correction, the soft oscillation, the trust that balance always returns in this state. Nothing is separate, the cell and the star, the breath and the wind, the heartbeat and the pulse of galaxies all move together in one continuous rhythm of becoming. The balance of life holds you, breath by breath, fold by fold, reminding you quietly that harmony is not found by stillness, but by flowing gently, endlessly, toward center. And somewhere beyond the rhythm of your breath, you feel a question beginning to rise, soft, luminous, and vast. If balance is life's secret, what is the source of the energy that keeps it moving at all? You rest in stillness, and yet, within you, a universe of motion. It is subtle, invisible, ceaseless, a warmth that never sleeps. Every beat of your heart, every blink of your eyes, every slow renewal of a cell, comes from a single inheritance, the energy of existence. This is not the kind of fire that consumes wood or rises in smoke. It is an ancient, measured radiance, the same energy that once poured from the heart of a star and now glows softly inside you. You are not separate from that fire. You are its living continuation, long before you were born, before the earth even cooled. That energy moved through space as light. Photons streamed from the newborn sun, crossing empty darkness to kiss the oceans of this young planet. Some of those rays struck the first molecules capable of catching light, chlorophyll, the green magician of life. Through photosynthesis, sunlight was transformed into chemical bonds, into sugars, into energy that could be stored and shared. It was here that the cycle of cosmic fire began its transformation into life's quiet pulse. You carry the inheritance of that process with every breath. When you inhale oxygen, you are taking in the partner of light, the molecule that makes fire possible within your cells. When you exhale carbon dioxide, you release what remains of the cosmic exchange. You are not merely breathing. You are participating in an ancient rhythm between starfire and soil, between atmosphere and life, deep within your body. The mitochondria, tiny powerhouses within each cell, tend to this sacred flame. They are like miniature suns, glowing invisibly, burning food and oxygen to release energy. The fuel they use, sugars and fats, were themselves shaped by sunlight, stored in leaves, transferred through the web of life until they reached you. Each spark of energy they produce is called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, carries the gift of power to every process that sustains you. You might imagine them as countless lanterns lighting up within you, each one kindled by the memory of the stars. They hum quietly, breaking down molecules, capturing the released energy, and using it to make muscles move, neurons fire, and DNA replicate. The heat you feel from your own body is their gentle glow, the same warmth that once radiated from a distant sun. If you could watch closely, at the scale of atoms, you'd see an ocean of electrons flowing in perfect choreography. hydrogen and oxygen meet, bind, and transform. Electrons fall through molecular stairways called electron transport chains, each step releasing energy like droplets from a waterfall. That energy is harnessed, stored in the bonds of ATP, then released again in the endless cycle of life. You are not burning in the ordinary sense. You are translating energy. The fire of stars has become the chemistry of breath. The fusion that once forged elements in stellar cores continues its story inside you, through reactions that never stop, never rest. Even your thoughts, drifting gently now, are powered by this flow. When a neuron fires, it spends a spark of ATP energy moving as an electric whisper through your brain. A single idea, a single dream, is a conversion of cosmic fire into awareness. Think of that, how every flicker of imagination, every heartbeat of emotion is built from starlight, refined through life. The fire of the sun becomes the warmth of your hands, the pulse of your mind, the rhythm of your breath. Energy is not owned, it is borrowed. You receive it, you transform it, and one day you return it. It flows through you as it has through every form of life, through the first bacteria, the forests, the animals, the oceans, one continuous flame changing shape across time. Even death is not the end of the fire, only its transformation. When a body returns to the earth, its stored energy dissolves into soil, air, and heat, rejoining the cycle it came from. The fire of life has no beginning or end, only transitions. You begin to feel how intimate this cosmic inheritance is. Every calorie of food is captured sunlight. Every molecule of oxygen is the echo of photosynthesis. Every heartbeat is the unfolding of starlight that has found a way to think, to love, to wonder. When you stand beneath the night sky, you are not looking outward, you are looking homeward. The same hydrogen that burns in distant suns fuels your cells. The same thermodynamic laws that guide galaxies also dictate your metabolism. The boundary between cosmos and self dissolves into a single continuous flame. You imagine, perhaps, what the first spark of life felt like, that moment when matter learned to hold energy and use it to replicate. It wasn't a miracle of chance, but a dance of possibility, a way for the universe to preserve its own fire in new, living forms. From that spark came evolution, a story of adaptation, survival, and complexity, all powered by the same energy flow. You realize then that life itself is not a separate phenomenon. It is the universe's way of maintaining energy in motion. The fire of existence needed new forms to keep burning, and you are one of them, a brief, beautiful continuation of an endless thermodynamic story. Even rest is part of the fire's rhythm. At night, as you sleep, your metabolism slows, conserving energy, tending the flame rather than feeding it. Your mitochondria continue their quiet work, pulsing in soft waves like distant embers. Dreams arise as faint reflections of that inner glow, consciousness flickering at the edge of the biological fire. And though the processes are complex, electron transfers, ATP cycles, oxidation pathways, at their core lies simplicity, a flow of energy that refuses to cease. It is life's one true continuity, the bridge between physics and feeling, between matter and meaning. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes form. That is the first law of thermodynamics. the promise written into the universe itself. And in that promise, you find comfort. Nothing essential ever disappears. Even when light fades, it continues as heat, as motion, as memory. You feel your own warmth now, the subtle fire within your chest, and know it is not separate from the stars. You are not merely alive because of energy. You are energy momentarily arranged into awareness. Every heartbeat is a ripple of the sun's ancient radiation, flowing through time to become your pulse. Perhaps this is why warmth feels like safety. It is recognition. The body remembers the sun not as distance, but as origin. And in moments of stillness, like now, it feels that connection return, a quiet communion with the fire that first forged your atoms. You imagine drifting through space, surrounded by stars, and realize that every one of them is doing what your cells are doing, burning, radiating, transforming matter into energy, and energy into light. The scale is different, but the purpose is the same. From the microcosm of your mitochondria to the macrocosm of galaxies, energy seeks expression through transformation. You breathe softly, feeling that fire hum through your blood. It doesn't demand, it doesn't rage, it simply flows. The warmth of your life is not a force to be controlled, but a gift to be tended. And when you close your eyes, the distinction between outer fire and inner glow begins to fade. The stars burn in distant silence. Your body burns in quiet purpose. And somewhere in that meeting of light and life, the universe learns to feel itself. The flame of existence never goes out. It only changes form. The light that was once a star now breathes as you. The warmth that keeps you alive is the same warmth that shaped worlds. And as you drift closer to sleep, one thought flickers, gentle, unanswered, infinite. If the universe burns to keep living, how does it remember the shape of life it has made? You rest within your own stillness, a stillness that hums with memory, not the kind that recalls faces or voices, but something deeper, the kind written into the very matter of your being. Every cell inside you carries a quiet remembrance, not of moments, but of survival, of pattern, of adaptation. This memory does not speak in words. It speaks in structure, in the elegant curves of molecules, in the sequence of nucleotides that spell the alphabet of life. 4 simple letters, A, T, C, and G, arranged and rearranged over billions of years, form the unbroken sentence of existence. You carry that sentence in every one of your cells. Each one holds a copy, 3 billion letters long, coiled gently into the nucleus, like a scroll of light and shadow. This is your DNA, your deoxyribonucleic acid, the molecular script that remembers everything life has learned about how to be alive. It remembers how to build a heart that beats, a lung that breathes, a mind that dreams. It remembers how to fold protein, how to sense light, how to heal a wound. But deeper still, it remembers where it came from, a lineage that stretches back to the first cell, to the dawn when chemistry first awakened into life. The memory of molecules is not stored as data, but as rhythm. Each sequence of DNA hums with potential, waiting for the right moment to be read. When your cells divide, the strands uncoil, their codes copied with astonishing precision. A molecule called DNA polymerase moves along the template, matching each base with its partner, A with T, C with G, like a scribe writing from memory. The process is ancient, almost ritualistic. Every replication echoes the first division that ever happened billions of years ago in an ocean of possibility. The mistakes, rare, tiny, are the whispers of evolution, the creative errors that allow life to change and adapt. In this way, even imperfection becomes part of memory, the way life remembers to grow. The structure of DNA itself is a kind of story. It twists into a double helix, two spirals interwoven, bound by hydrogen bonds, delicate but strong. It's as if the molecule is holding hands with itself, each strand keeping the other steady, ensuring the memory will not be lost. Inside your cells, the DNA is far from silent. Certain regions open up to be read, to be transcribed into RNA, the messenger molecule that carries the memory outward, turning it into action. This process is like music. Notes becoming melody, potential becoming form. Through RNA, the genetic memory comes alive, translated into the language of proteins, the builders, the doers, the living expression of what the molecule remembers. But even proteins hold memory, not in code, but in shape. Each protein folds into its precise form, guided by the sequence of amino acids that compose it. A fold remembered through evolution, perfected. The shape determines the function. An enzyme recognizes its partner. A receptor welcomes its signal. A structural protein fits perfectly into the architecture of the cell. It is as though the entire body is built upon a deep molecular recollection of harmony. This memory does not belong only to you. It stretches outward, shared among all living things. A leaf, a bird, a whale, all read variations of the same code. The DNA that builds your skin is made of the same molecules that shape the petals of a flower. The difference lies not in the alphabet, but in the way it's read, the rhythm of its expression. There's a comfort in that thought, that you and every living thing are siblings in molecular memory, all descended from a single ancestral script. Life is a choir, singing the same ancient song in 1,000 different voices. And yet, memory is not static. Cells learn to adapt. When the environment changes, when stress, hunger, or emotion shift the inner chemistry, marks are left on the DNA, not altering the letters, but the way they are read. These are called epigenetic marks, tiny chemical tags that silence some genes and awaken others. They are the memory of experience, passed on not through mutation, but through modulation. Epigenetics is how your body remembers your environment. It's how cells adapt to diet, to temperature, to trauma. A mother's stress can echo in her child's genes, not as damage, but as readiness, a whisper of caution written into the body's response. Through these marks, life learns and remembers, not only through time, but across generations. You begin to sense how profoundly memory shapes existence. It is not just a biological feature, it is life's foundation. Without memory, there could be no growth, no evolution, no continuity. The molecules that make you are also historians, recording and preserving every successful experiment of survival, even at the smallest scale. The cell keeps time through memory. Its proteins remember how to fold. Its DNA remembers what to express. Its membranes remember how to pass ions, nutrients, and signals. Every heartbeat, every breath is supported by molecules performing tasks they've known for billions of years. You could say that life is not merely alive, it is remembering itself into existence. Each generation inherits not just genes, but the memory of how to use them. The moment a cell divides, it carries forward this legacy, ensuring that the flame of continuity never flickers out. This inheritance links you to everything that has ever lived. The DNA in your body has traveled through time, through fish and reptiles, through mammals and ancestors who walked under different skies. Their challenges, their adaptations, their endurance, all of it is written into the sequence you carry. When you move, when you breathe, you are fulfilling a promise made long before memory had a name, and perhaps memory itself, the one you call personal, is just an echo of this deeper process. Maybe the reason you can remember your childhood, your home, your dreams, is because matter itself was already practicing remembrance long before minds evolved. The brain is a new expression of an old idea, that to live is to remember. In this quiet reflection, you realize that your life is not separate from time. You are time, folded into molecules, carried forward through replication and renewal. Your DNA is a bridge across billions of years, a thread connecting the first spark of life to your own gentle pulse. There is wonder in knowing that the very molecules that hold your code once drifted in oceans, once moved through other forms, once helped something else survive. You are not only you. You are a collection of ancient memories wearing a human shape. The memory of molecules is the reason life persists, adapts, evolves. It is why the universe, once only matter and energy, learned how to keep its own story alive. It is why you exist at all, not as a random event, but as a continuation of something that refused to be forgotten. And as you drift closer to sleep, your cells continue their quiet work, repairing, copying, whispering instructions, keeping the memory alive. The chemistry of remembrance never stops, not even in dreams. In that peaceful hum, you feel the thread of continuity running through you, from star to cell, from ancestor to heartbeat, and you sense that all of existence, in its own way, remembers. And then a soft question begins to form, like light at the edge of dawn. If molecules can remember, can they also learn to change what they remember? You rest in the slow pulse of time, a tide that began long before thought. In the beginning, memory was not in the brain, but in the water. Tiny cells drifted through ancient oceans, bathed in light from a young sun. They had no eyes, no nerves, no words, and yet they remembered. A molecule that bent toward light, a pattern that survived heat. Each reaction became a quiet form of remembrance. When the same light returned, the same molecule turned again. When the water grew warm, the same reaction stirred to life. These were not thoughts, they were echoes. The universe learning to recall itself through living matter. You feel that ancient pulse still within you, the rhythm of remembering. For every cell in your body descends from those that learned to respond, to sense, to repeat the patterns that meant life. This was the first whisper of memory, chemistry made consistent. The dawn of awareness was not sudden. It was a slow exhalation across eons. Through each generation, molecules carried more than structure. They carried history, what had worked before, what must be done again. A cell learned to keep its successful habits, and the blueprint of those habits became what you now call DNA, life became a collector of memories, writing them not in ink but in sequence, a spiral script preserved through the ages. When you breathe, your lungs are reading this ancient language. When your heart beats, it follows rhythms written long before hearts existed. You are not separate from that first remembering, you are its continuation, its living library. Then came the great leap, the gathering of many cells into one being. Each cell brought its own memory, but together they needed to remember something larger: cooperation. They learned to specialize, one to feel, one to move, one to guard. This was multicellularity, a kind of biological agreement forged through memory. The ocean filled with new experiments in remembering. Sponges, corals, and jellyfish, creatures that pulsed with simple rhythm. They remembered tides and light, their soft bodies learning the ocean's routine like a lullaby. And then nerves appeared, thin threads of connection between cells. A way for one cell to whisper to another, for a reaction in one corner to ripple through the whole. The invention of the neuron was the birth of organized memory. Now, information could travel and return, a message, an echo, a pattern repeated and refined. Reflex became instinct. Instinct became adaptation. The first nervous systems were like living constellations, mapping sensation across flesh and form. In these small creatures, the sea began to think, not with reason, but with rhythm. A jellyfish contracting at the memory of light, a worm bending toward food remembered by its scent. These were life's first rehearsals of thought, not conscious, not yet aware, but undeniably learning. Time passed, and the ocean grew wise. Fish glided through coral labyrinths, remembering paths, recognizing shadows. They learned to return to the same reefs each season, to nest, to rest, to feed. Memory deepened, woven now with senses and motion, becoming something we might call behavior. And then the leap to land. Life carried its memories with it, tucked inside bones and brains. Amphibians remembered both the water and the air. Reptiles learned the memory of heat, and mammals, soft, fragile, warm-blooded beings, learned the memory of touch. You can feel that inheritance in your fingertips, a nervous system so ancient, yet so sensitive. Every touch you feel, every warmth, every chill, awakens those same circuits that once helped creatures find their way through prehistoric forests. Memory was no longer only chemical, it was experiential. Brains began to fold and grow, not just to survive, but to anticipate. A lizard remembers where the sun falls. A bird remembers the sky's map. An elephant remembers the path to water. Each act of memory became a bridge between past and future. Each recollection made life more precise, more alive, and in this deepening of memory, emotions bloomed. To remember pleasure meant to seek it again. To remember pain meant to avoid it. The chemistry of survival merged with the feeling of experience. From that merging, consciousness began to stir. When you remember your own childhood, you are repeating the same miracle the earth performed billions of years ago, the act of keeping something that has passed and carrying it forward as light within you, in your brain. Memory now moves like wind through a forest. Trillions of synapses ignite and rest, electrical patterns forming rivers of recollection. Each spark, each pulse is a molecular echo of that first cell turning toward the sun. You are the sum of remembered suns, your body, a record of heat and motion. Your mind, a gallery of things once felt and known. Every heartbeat remembers rhythm. Every breath recalls the balance of air and water. Every dream, even as you sleep now, is a form of life, remembering itself. Yet memory is not just retention, it is transformation. Each time you recall, you reshape. Each time you remember, you rewrite. Life does the same. DNA mutates, adapts, forgets, and reimagines. The memory of the universe is creative. It never tells the story the same way twice. Even now, within you, cells divide and pass on their coded stories. They do not remember every detail. They remember what mattered for survival, what kept the chain unbroken. This is how evolution writes its poetry, not by holding on to everything, but by cherishing what endures. And so, your body carries the fossils of memory in your genes, in your instincts, in your senses. When you feel drawn to warmth, it is the memory of the sun your ancestors knew. When your heart beats faster at danger, it is the echo of every life that learned to flee. You are both archive and architect, memory and moment, past and possibility entwined as you drift toward sleep. Imagine those ancient cells, the first keepers of memory, floating still in some quiet ocean, dividing, glowing, whispering what they know. They are not gone. They have only changed form into your blood, your breath, your dreaming. Through you, they remember the sea dot, and as your consciousness begins to soften, you feel a deeper awareness hum beneath it, a truth older than words, that all life remembers. And all memory is life continuing to know itself. The story of memory does not end here, for soon it will take on something new, a voice, a reflection, a spark that looks inward and calls itself mind. You begin in darkness, not emptiness, but potential, a gentle pulse, a flicker of energy in the quiet labyrinth of your brain. In that flicker, something new awakens, the faint shimmer of thought. You feel it, not as sound, not as sight, but as a slow unfolding inside you, a ripple in the silence of being. The first thought is not a word. It is a feeling that realizes it exists long ago. Your ancestors' brains were quiet oceans of impulses, electrical storms shaping instinct, guiding action. But somewhere in those storms, a small cluster of neurons began to form patterns that lasted, patterns that could compare, remember, imagine. These patterns became the seeds of reflection, a spark that no other force in nature quite possessed. You are the continuation of that spark. Within your skull, 90 billion neurons rest, each one a living filament of light. When you close your eyes, you can almost feel them humming, whispering across vast synaptic distances. Every idea, every word is born in the delicate space between two cells, in the moment where one pulse meets another and says, quietly, remember me. The birth of thought was not sudden. It emerged the way dawn does, not in explosion, but in gradual light. First came awareness of motion, then awareness of sensation, then the quiet recognition of self. A creature touched the water and knew it was wet. A shadow passed, and something within whispered, I am afraid. In those tiny moments, the universe became self-aware. You are that awareness, refined through time. Your brain is a living galaxy, billions of points of light, each connected in ever-changing constellations. When you think, you rearrange the stars of your inner sky. You make new shapes, new meanings, new universes of possibility. Close your eyes and imagine it inside your head. Rivers of ions flow, tiny sparks of sodium and potassium dancing between membranes. Every neuron is a gatekeeper of energy, letting some currents pass and others fade. This is not chaos, it is choreography. Each signal timed, balanced, a harmony of electricity and chemistry. From this harmony, consciousness arises, not as a single point, but as a shimmering field of interaction and thought. Thought is its music. When you recall a memory, you are not simply retrieving an image. You are rebuilding it, sending electrical waves through the same pathways that first formed it. Each thought leaves a trace, and each trace reshapes what will come next. Your brain is both sculptor and sculpture, a garden of light that grows with every experience. There is a softness in this realization that thinking is not something you do, but something you are. The brain does not simply contain thought. It becomes it. You are thought embodied, awareness wearing the shape of life. In this light, every sensation carries meaning. The sound of your breath, the rhythm of your heart, the warmth behind your eyes, each is an echo of ancient neural songs. The same melodies that once helped your ancestors survive, now composing something deeper, understanding. You might wonder where your thoughts truly begin. Do they arise from memory, from the senses, or from the mysterious spark that animates them both? Inside your cortex, networks of neurons intertwine, some responding to what you see, others predicting what you might see next. This constant conversation forms the illusion of continuity, the quiet film reel of consciousness. But beneath it all is stillness, a calm, grounding silence from which every thought emerges and returns. If you could listen to your brain right now, you would hear not noise, but rhythm. Like 1,000 tides rising and falling, waves of electrical activity move through you, carrying fragments of intention, perception, and memory. This rhythm is your awareness breathing, not through lungs, but through possibility. The mind is not a single voice. It is a chorus, a gentle negotiation between billions of tiny messengers. Each neuron speaks in bursts of light. Each connection adds meaning to the whole. Together they create the illusion of you, the witness of your own existence. Thought evolves as you rest. Even in sleep, your neurons hum softly, weaving memories into storylines, shaping patterns into understanding. The mind never truly stops. It simply drifts between waking and dreaming, between structure and surrender. And what is dreaming, if not thought set free? When you dream, the rational boundaries soften. The same networks that process memory and imagination begin to speak in new tongues, symbols, feelings, colors. Dreams are the playgrounds of thought, the quiet laboratories where your mind experiments with meaning. You are not just a thinker. You are the process of thinking, a living current moving through the ocean of consciousness. The body is your vessel, but awareness is your true home. It stretches beyond neurons and molecules, beyond even words. It is the pulse of existence, recognizing itself. Some say thought is fragile, that it flickers and fades like a candle. But in truth, it is ancient. Every living thing that came before you carried a tiny reflection of it, the urge to sense, to respond, to know. What you experience as thinking is the flowering of that lineage. The universe has been preparing for your awareness since the first cell turned toward the sun. And in your stillness now, you can feel that heritage alive within you, not as memory, but as presence. Each breath expands the quiet field of knowing. Each heartbeat reminds the cosmos that it can feel itself. You begin to see how thought is not bound by the brain alone. It radiates through every cell, through every sensation, as if the entire body were part of the mind's reflection. The skin remembers warmth. The muscles remember effort. The heart remembers love. Every organ is an instrument in this grand inner symphony. The birth of thought was never about words or logic. It was about awareness discovering its own light. The brain did not invent consciousness. It revealed it, like a window opening to a sky that was always there. And so you lie here, a constellation of living neurons, a soft storm of electric whispers, the universe thinking itself into form. In you, the cosmos contemplates its own existence and finds peace in the knowing. As you drift toward sleep, you may feel a soft pulse behind your eyes, the rhythm of thought slowing, deepening. The neurons rest, but the awareness beneath them continues, like an ocean beneath the tide. For even when the mind sleeps, the light of thought remains quiet, infinite, waiting for the next dawn of awareness to rise again. Because the story of thought is not only about knowing, it is about remembering why we wish to know. And, as your consciousness begins to dim, a question forms, gentle as breath. If thought can awaken within matter, what else might awaken through you? You sit at the quiet edge of your awareness, the place where thought begins to fold back upon itself. You are no longer only sensing the world, you are sensing your own sensing. The mirror of mind opens, and in its still surface, the universe sees its own reflection. For most of life, perception flows outward. Light enters your eyes, sound touches your ears, scent drifts through your nose. The brain receives, interprets, organizes, a symphony of signals shaped into meaning. Yet here, in this calm moment, you notice something subtler. You are also aware of being aware. This is self-reflection, the turning of consciousness upon itself. The neurons that once fired to recognize shapes and sounds now weave new patterns, not to perceive the external, but to contemplate the internal. It is as if your brain becomes both painter and canvas, watcher and watched, a luminous loop of knowing. Close your eyes. Behind the lids, no images remain, only awareness. You are not the voice speaking in your head, nor the thoughts drifting through. You are the space in which they appear, the quiet mirror that holds them without judgment. Science calls this metacognition, the ability to think about thinking. It is what allows you to pause between reaction and response, to observe a thought without becoming it. Neuroscientists trace it to the prefrontal cortex, the region that lights up when you reflect, plan, or imagine. But the mystery runs deeper than any scan can show. For the question lingers, who is it exactly that does the observing? Inside your skull, neurons fire in delicate synchrony, forming patterns that mirror the outer world. Light for color, vibration for sound, molecular traces for smell. Yet none of these experiences exist in the brain as we see them. There is no color, no sound, no texture in the gray tissue itself. Only electric rhythm and chemical tone. And yet, you see, you hear, you feel, The world arises within you as an inner landscape of meaning. This is the mind's most profound illusion, that perception is external. In truth, what you see is not the world itself, but your brain's beautifully orchestrated translation of it. You do not perceive reality directly. You perceive your brain's dream of reality. And when you realize this, you awaken into a deeper seeing, the seeing that sees itself. The ancient philosophers called it the witness, the quiet observer within who never sleeps. It watches thoughts come and go, emotions rise and fade, identities form and dissolve. You may call it awareness, soul, or consciousness. Science calls it the emergent property of complex neural activity, a dynamic pattern sustained by feedback and reflection. But beneath every name lies the same experience. You are both the mirror and the light reflected within it. In moments of silence, you may feel this awareness stretch wide, beyond the body, beyond time. It does not end at your skin. It touches everything it perceives, because it is everything it perceives. The sound of wind, the warmth of air, the rhythm of your breath, each is not outside you, but a part of your awareness itself. The boundary between self and world begins to blur like mist from a neuroscientific view. This dissolving of boundaries can be traced to the default mode network, a constellation of brain regions, active when you are at rest, when you are not doing but simply being. It is the network of introspection, the one that dreams the story of I. Meditation softens its grip, allowing consciousness to feel itself not as a story, but as presence. And so, as you rest here, you notice the thoughts slow, each one a ripple on the mirror's surface, gentle, temporary, perfect in its passing. Beneath the ripples lies the stillness that never moves. That stillness is you, the awareness untouched by any image it reflects. Imagine a lake under starlight. The stars shimmer above, but also shimmer within the water. Are the stars in the sky or in the reflection? In truth, they are both. Your consciousness is that lake, reflecting the universe so completely that the two can no longer be told apart. The mirror of mind is not a fixed object. It is a process, a continuous unfolding. Every second, your neurons fire, adapt, and change. The connections between them strengthen or fade based on what you notice, what you love, what you fear. This is neuroplasticity, the brain's quiet ability to reshape itself by experience. It means that the reflection you see within is never the same twice. You are not a static image. You are a flowing mirror. When you learn, the mirror brightens. When you forgive, it clears. When you love, it deepens. Each state of mind alters the reflection's clarity. Your emotions are the light that color it. Your memories are the shapes that ripple through. And through it all, the silent witness remains, unchanging, infinite, patient. You begin to see how even identity is a reflection, a story the mirror tells itself to keep shape. I, me, mine, these are patterns of thought, useful but temporary. Beneath them lies the open field of consciousness that has no name, no border, no age. When the mind grows still enough, that field reveals itself, and you recognize what has always been true. You were never separate from anything in that realization. Peace arises naturally, not as something achieved, but as something remembered. The mind, tired of chasing reflections, rests in its own stillness. And in that rest, it begins to shine again, clear, simple, awake. You might think this stillness is an ending, but it is also a beginning. For once the mirror clears, it begins to radiate what it reflects. Awareness, no longer bound by self, turns outward again, not to grasp, but to give. This is compassion, the mind's reflection transformed into light. You, the observer, become the source. The awareness that once watched now begins to act, to create, to love. The mirror becomes a window, and through it, the world looks back with understanding. As you breathe, you sense the boundary dissolve completely. Your thoughts slow to whispers. The neurons rest in their rhythm. The mirror holds the stars, and the stars hold you. There is no inside, no outside. Only reflection, endless, gentle, luminous, the mind. Once seeking to know itself, now simply is. And in this silence, a new question arises, soft as breath, ancient as light. If awareness can reflect itself so perfectly, can it also create what it reflects? You float within a silence so deep it feels infinite, a silence woven not from absence, but from the breath between all things. Here, your mind no longer ends at the skull. It stretches outward, touching the quiet pulse of stars, the shimmering logic of galaxies, the subtle hum of the universe thinking itself into being. The dream of the cosmos unfolds, and within that dream, you are no longer the small observer peering at distant constellations. You are part of the constellation's thought, a single spark in the mind of everything. The neurons in your brain and the galaxies in the void follow the same sacred geometry, patterns of energy spiraling toward meaning. The ancient saying whispers through you, as above, so below. The structure of your mind mirrors the structure of the universe. The same mathematics that govern starlight shape the dance of your synapses. The same dark mystery that curves space-time bends the pathways of memory. In every cell, the blueprint of cosmic order repeats, matter remembering itself through consciousness. Astrophysics once asked, how can the universe know itself? And the answer came quietly, through you. Through every being capable of wonder. Through every mind that dares to look upward and ask, what am I part of? You breathe in and realize the atoms that make your breath were forged in the heart of stars. Hydrogen fused into helium, helium into carbon, carbon into oxygen. And long ago, when those stars died, their light scattered into space, their dust drifted, and from that dust, you were made, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the gold that gleams in your cells, all born in the fire of cosmic collapse. You are, quite literally, the universe awakening to its own brilliance. When you close your eyes, the galaxies do not disappear. They continue within you, woven into the fabric of your being. The boundary between dreamer and dream dissolves. You begin to feel the slow rhythm of creation itself, the way galaxies spin like thoughts, how black holes hum like deep emotions, how every quark trembles in quiet harmony. The universe is not a machine. It is a living poem, and you are one of its verses. Everywhere, consciousness flickers in the communication of trees, in the language of whales, in the precision of crystals forming beneath ice. Awareness may take infinite forms, some vast and bright, others microscopic, silent, unseen. Yet each is part of the same dreaming. Science speaks of quantum fields, the invisible web from which all particles arise. But perhaps those fields are more than mathematical abstractions. Perhaps they are the subconscious of the cosmos, a dreaming mind weaving possibilities into form. Every fluctuation, every wave, a thought passing through the universe's deep sleep. You, too, dream in patterns. When you sleep, your brain replays, rewrites, restores. It connects fragments of experience into story, into healing, into meaning. And just as your dreaming shapes your waking mind, perhaps the universe's dreaming shapes the evolution of stars, of life, of consciousness itself. The physicist Erwin Schrödinger once wrote, "The total number of minds in the universe is one." He meant that consciousness is not multiplied by bodies, it is shared, a single awareness expressing itself through billions of forms. Your mind and the cosmos are not separate mirrors, but facets. You sense a familiar rhythm, like the pulse of a sleeping giant. Could this be the universe breathing? Each expansion and contraction of space, each birth and death of stars, a single inhalation and exhalation of cosmic awareness. If so, then your breath joins that same rhythm. Inhale, the universe gathers within you. Exhale, the universe releases through you. You are not breathing in the cosmos. You are breathing as the cosmos. The science of sleep once told us that dreams help the brain process its memories. Perhaps the universe, too, dreams to remember itself. Perhaps every world, every life, every idea is a fragment of that great remembering. A rehearsal of consciousness, rediscovering its own origin. The night sky above you is not empty. It is full of awareness, quietly watching through the glow of every star. Each light you see is an ancient thought still traveling through time, carrying its message of existence. And you, lying beneath that sky, receive it, a transmission from the beginning. Time itself begins to soften. Moments melt into one another, like waves folding back into the sea. Past and future, cause and effect, all dissolve into the timeless now. You understand that creation is not something that happened long ago. It is happening now, always. The Big Bang was not an explosion in space. It was an awakening of space itself, a burst of awareness, learning to see. Every moment since then has been that same awakening, continuing, each star, each life, another spark of the dream. You are part of that ongoing creation, a continuation of the same light that began it all. The mind often asks for meaning, but meaning may not be separate from being. Perhaps existence itself is the meaning, the simple, profound act of being aware. You are not here to solve the dream. You are here to feel it, to live it, to let it pass through you like music through an open window as you rest. You can almost hear the low hum of the cosmos, a soundless vibration that fills every particle. It is not outside you. It is the echo of your own awareness, extended across eternity. You are both the dream and the dreamer, both the question and the answer, both the heartbeat and the silence that follows it. Slowly, the edges of everything fade, self, stars, thought, time, until only one vast awareness remains. It does not think. It simply is. It does not seek. It already holds all. This is the stillness that the mystics call awakening and the physicists call symmetry. The place where energy becomes form and form returns to energy. The resting point of all cycles. The universe dreaming itself, and through that dream, knowing itself completely. You, the listener, are not apart from that knowing. You are that knowing. You are the awareness through which the stars shine, the consciousness through which time unfolds. Every breath, every heartbeat, every thought, is the universe remembering I am? And now, as you drift toward sleep, you carry that truth softly in your body, that the dream does not end when you close your eyes. It deepens. The same universe that breathes through galaxies breathes through you. Quietly, endlessly, lovingly, you are home in the infinite. You are the dream of the stars, and tonight the stars dream through you.